So I had this really cute pair of pants. Well, I still have them, technically, but this happened the other day. Tragedy. And I mean, I could probably repair it, but it would look awful, and I don't want to do that. So I'm going to turn this cute pair of pants into a cute skirt. Okay, so here are the pants. Here's the damage. You can see that it's split right along the grain and then along the seam down the crotch. And it's a pretty devastating tear. But I think I can salvage this because these are full-length pants, and actually I gave myself a very generous hem. They were quite a bit too long for me, and I just turned the hem up. I cut off the original hem and then turned it up like 2 inches. So if I unpick that and, you know, press it and wash it, I think it'll be okay to use at the bottom of my new skirt. So to get the most length possible, I'm going to go from where the tear begins at the top, and after I unpick the hem, I will fold this up, match raw edge to torn edge, and then cut down along this fold. And then I'm going to open up the inseam, probably just trim it off, and then use these pieces as panels, same with the other leg. So all the panels together, and I'm going to unpick the bottom of the back pockets, add my gathered panels to what will now be the yoke of my skirt, and then sew the pockets back down to cover the seam. And I do have the pockets in the front, which I'm thinking shouldn't interfere too much. If they do, I'll just fold them up out of the way. And yeah, I think this is going to be really cute and hopefully very simple. The first order of business was unpicking the hem. I had hemmed these pants with 2 rows of straight stitching, just for a fun decorative element. So now, of course, I had to unpick them both. Once that was done, I pressed them flat. The next step was to unpick the bottoms of the pockets in the back. These are also attached with 2 rows of stitching from when the garment was originally made. If you are beginning sewing, I can highly recommend you have a quality lint roller on hand, especially if you do a lot of unpicking. It is the easiest, quickest way to pick up all of the little bits of thread that are left behind. I cut the pant legs open right along the inseam. I didn't bother unpicking this seam because it's very annoying to unpick a serged seam, and I didn't really need the extra width, so it just wasn't worth it. I then measured down from the waistband to where my torn edge was and carried that measurement across the back. Then in the front, I measured down about 1.5 inches less than the back measurement, so that the backs of the skirt yoke would be longer to account for my curves. I did take the time to unpick the front seam under the fly, because I wanted to redo this with a nice straight vertical seam. And with a pencil, I connected all of the lines I had made, measuring down from the waistband to give myself a clean cutting line. I also made sure that I was not cutting through the front pockets on the inside. I tried on the yoke and pinned the front seam so that it looked straight while I was wearing it. Now for the pant legs. I folded them in half, matching up the hem and the top cut edge, and measured the length to ensure they would be equal. I cut the first leg in half right along the fold. Then I cleaned up the bottom edge. I used these pieces as a pattern to cut the second leg into matching panels. I also trimmed off the seams on the sides. I pinned the panels together, making sure the wider ends, from the original hem and the top of the pant leg, were at the bottom, and the narrower ends, from where I cut along the fold at the knees, were now at the top. I wanted to give my skirt as much flare as I could. I stitched the new line of the seam under the fly, pressed it nice and flat, and trimmed away the excess seam allowance. I flat-felled this seam to mimic the original seam, but not before breaking a needle. Oops. Now to construct the panels. I did flat-felled seams once again, then ran 2 rows of gathering stitches along the top edge. I usually divide my fabric to be gathered into quarters and stop and start the stitching at those markings to make it easy to pull up the threads evenly. With these panels, it was very easy because the seams were spaced equidistant already. Okay, I'm halfway through gathering the lower portion to the yoke. I started at the center front. You can see there's the fly, and I just went around the side, and I stopped at center back, and you can probably see the problem, which is that the front is much more densely gathered than the back. And the reason for this is, of course, that the yoke part going over my hips and butt area has a lot more fabric at the what will be the seam than the front has. And I should have thought of this before I started. So this is the side seam, and this is the actual center of the side. So I think I'm going to move this side seam over to the true side so that it's more evenly gathered. I considered having the front much less gathered, maybe even have it a straight panel across, but I do like the gathered look to the yoke, so I'm just going to unpin everything I've just done, move this over a couple inches, and even it out. Fortunately, I only did this half, and I still have this half to do, so it should be fairly simple to fix and get on with. Also, I should point out I have very carefully pinned the pockets up out of the way, both the front and back pockets, so that I will not catch them in either the pinning or the sewing of the lower portion to the yoke. After stitching, I gave this seam a good press, flattening down the gathers in the seam allowance to make it easier to serge these edges together. Then I serged it, pressed again from the outside, and flat-felled the serged seam with 2 rows of decorative top stitching. Okay, just having a quick try on after I've stitched the bottom layer in place, and I love it. I was slightly concerned that it wasn't going to be long enough. It seemed really short when I was putting it together, but no, it's perfect. It's right at my knee, or it will be when it's hemmed. And I like the amount of gathering. It's really cute. Pockets are gonna get stitched back down. And of course I have the front pockets as well. Oh, yes. I am very happy with it. And I'm so glad that I still get to wear this garment even though it's not pants anymore, it's a skirt. But yeah, just really happy with how it's coming out. Okay, it is now time to sew the pockets back. I have unpicked the original seams up to these horizontal lines of stitching because I'm going to have a different color thread than this was, so I figured stopping at these 2 points will help to disguise it, similar to how at the fly this is all with the original stitching and then below is my replacement color thread, and it looks okay. So I have pinned the pockets back into place, down covering the seam, and I have mostly put them back directly over the original stitching line, although the fabric seems to have stretched at the seam, which is hardly surprising. It's even more pronounced on this side. But all in all, I think it looks okay. I had to make a small repair where one of the belt loops had torn through the fabric it was stitched to. It turns out this fabric is not very sturdy at all. It probably should not have been used to make pants. I have since had to do this same repair on one of the back pockets, so I will be going back and reinforcing all of these stress points. First I unpicked all the original stitching, then selected a small scrap of leftover fabric which I placed beneath the tear. I used the running stitch on my Bernina 830 and a short stitch length to basically darn the hole, with the scrap fabric underneath now reinforcing the area before I reattached the belt loop. And then I just needed a hem. I chose a package of seam binding from my stash of vintage notions and trims, and it was an almost perfect color match. I love doing this type of hem because you can preserve the length of the skirt while making a very lightweight hem. I find the normal way of hemming, turning up the raw edge twice, to be rather bulky as a narrow hem. And I also really like the look of a deeper hem, but I didn't want to sacrifice 2 inches of my skirt length to get it. Plus, the seam tape looks really nice on the inside. And these are all of the scraps remaining from this pants to skirt conversion, so this project was nearly waste-free. That always makes me happy. I really love this skirt. It came out exactly as I had planned it, and it is even more comfortable now than it was as pants. And I worry less about ripping it again because the fabric is under considerably less stress now, especially considering the way I tend to sit in pants. Because yes, I did rip these while sitting in a chair. But it's a very cute skirt, and I have been wearing it just all the time. I love it so much. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to give me a like, and if you want to see more, definitely subscribe, and I will see you soon. Bye.